Come with us on a journey into the unknown, the unexplained, and the unbelievable. We will test your senses and challenge your beliefs. A world where science and religion clash. Or do they? You will meet real people and hear real stories, but you will not believe. You will witness strange sights and hear strange sounds, but you will not believe. This is the New England Ghost Project. Welcome to the nightmare.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the special COVID virus edition of Ghost Chronicles-Next Generation. We are together, but separated, as they all say on every freaking broadcast there is. I am
Right.
Kolek, and with me is my lovely host, Kerrigan.
Hi, everybody. Merry Christmas.
And what are we doing today, Ann?
So today we bring you a radio script from 1948 and read by a group of our very special friends. And take it away.
Suspense. Back for Christmas, December 23rd, 1948. In the final broadcast, the main character's name was changed to Wilfred, not Herbert, as it is in the script. And on the broadcast, it was always back for the holidays, while the original script is more specific, back for Christmas.
In just a moment, Autolite presents Suspense with Herbert Marshall. 'Twas the night before Christmas, and in Santa's sleigh, the electrical system was plenty okay. The ignition was perfect. It worked like a dream, and the sleigh ran so smooth it made Santa beam.
What was Santa's secret, Hollow?
Well, I heard him exclaim as he drove out of sight, "It's no secret at all, it's just Autolite."
Now Hollow.
You see, Hap, with all the kids in the world depending on old St. Nick on Christmas Eve, he plays safe by replacing older worn parts in his Autolite-equipped car, sleigh, with Autolite original factory parts: resistor spark plugs, stay-full batteries, distributors, starting motors, coils, generators, wire and cable, all famous for their Autolite ignition-engineered dependability. Santa does it. Why don't you?
Hollow. Let's switch from Santa to suspense. Suspense. Autolite and its 60,000 dealers and service stations bring you radio's outstanding theater of thrills. Starring tonight, Mr. Herbert Marshall, an Anton Leader's production of a tale well calculated to keep you suspense.
Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse and open sleigh. Jingle bells.
Herbert! Herbert!
Yes, my dear.
What on earth are you doing down here in the cellar?
Why, I'm just doing a little digging.
And why, may I ask, have you chosen this day of all days to dig up the cellar floor?
Well, I thought as the weather has been so damp that this would be a good time to plant a little devil's garden. I told you about.
Devil's Garden? Whatever nonsense is that?
Oh, that was my little joke about it. You see, I managed to get hold of some spores on several unclassified wild auctions. In the wild state, they bloom under damp masses of leaf mold. The Arturican Indians, whoever the hell they are, call them the devil's flowers because they appear to bloom underground.
Well, I'm sure the Araucanian Indians will be very interested if you succeed in growing these ridiculous flowers under the cellar floor. Whom else it will interest, I can't imagine. What's that terrible smell?
Oh, that's leaf mold, chemically identical with the earth blanket they grow in the wild state. I suppose I should line the pit with concrete so it would prevent seepage from this foreign soil but I don't suppose will be much time for it now, and I don't want to get started before we close on the house.
There certainly will not be time for it. Do you realize we're sailing for America a week from today and you've made no arrangements whatsoever? Unless you call digging a hole in the cellar making arrangements. I certainly don't. Devil's garden indeed. Sometimes I wonder, I think you're going soft in the head, Herbert.
I suppose it was inconsiderate of me, you see. I've been waiting to try this experiment for a long time, but what with my lectures and seminars at the university, there never seemed to be any time.
Well, there certainly isn't any time for it now. I suppose you've forgotten that I made an appointment for you at the barber's this afternoon?
Must I shave off my beard, Hermione?
I thought we'd been all through that. Of course you must. They don't wear beards in America. Go get your jacket on and do as I tell you.
Yes, Hermione.
And don't forget to take your umbrella. It looks like rain.
Yes, Hermione.
Oh, and don't look so put upon, Herbert. Someone has to plan things in this house, or you'd never even get to the university in time for your lectures, much less make arrangements for a trip to America.
I know, but what about my specimens?
There'll be plenty of time to plant your precious devil's garden when we get home from America. We're not going to be gone forever, you know. We'll be back here for Christmas.
Yes, of course, Christmas. I've forgotten.
Well, try to remember it. And if you can't do that, just do as I tell you. I've been making the plans in this house for 20 years, and if there's any digging to be done, I'll manage that as well. You understand, Herbert?
Yes, Hermione.
Good. You have just 20 minutes to clean up this mess down here and keep your appointments at the barber's. When you finish there, I want you to come straight home.
I want to stop at Miss Markham's and pick up some books I ordered.
Well, all right, but don't loiter there the whole afternoon, grousing over all those old books the way you usually do. Now hurry up and clear up this rubbish. Get rid of that smelly stuff. And no more digging, mind you.
Yes, Hermione. Yes, Hermione. How many years has it been since I've been saying that? 10 years, 15 years, 20 years? Clear up the rubbish. Yes, Hermione. Don't forget your umbrella. Yes, Hermione. Do this. Do this. Yes, Hermione. Yes, yes. How much longer can I stand it?
Good evening, sir.
Good morning, Miss Markham.
Why, it's Professor Carpenter, isn't it?
You like me better this way?
You look ever so much younger without the beard. 20 years at least.
20 years.
You'll be glad to know the books that you ordered have finally arrived.
Books?
Philotomy and phlenoloid gametophytes and the carnivorous shrumps of the North America. Those are the ones you ordered, aren't they?
Yes, thank you. You're very kind, Miss Markham.
Why kind, Professor Carpenter?
Not many young ladies in bookshops would go out of their way to look up these rare books for an old professor of botany.
Why, you're not old, Professor Carpenter. Really, look at you. And besides, I adore botany. It's my particular hobby.
Oh, really? You never told me that before, Miss Markham.
I was afraid to. You were so imposing with the beard and all.
You might be interested in some of the specimens of the alpine polanthes that were just sent to me from a friend in Switzerland.
Switzerland. I used to go there always for my holidays before the war.
You love Switzerland?
Every part of it. The lakes, the mountains, the beautiful spring flowers, especially the flowers.
It seems we have quite a lot in common, Miss Markham. I'm sorry we haven't talked before.
I am too. It was all the fault of the beard, it seems.
Miss Markham, forgive me if this sounds foolish, but I feel that shaving off my beard is the most important thing that I've ever done for 20 years.
Oh, it is. I'm sure of it. I'm ashamed that I've been so distant with you all this time. Oh, there were times when I almost spoke up, times when you came in here tired after your day with your students at the university, and you seemed so alone, the way that I'm alone in the world. I'd like to have asked you to stay a while and talk with me, but some way or another I wound up giving you your change and just letting you go on your way.
You say you're all alone in the world?
Since my father died.
A good-looking woman like you. Did you ever think of marrying?
My father was a remarkable man. I've never found anyone who quite measures up to what he led me to expect of men. Then the war came.
Miss Markham.
It's been so long since anyone called me by my first name. I'd like you to, if you want. It's Marion.
Marion?
And yours?
Herbert.
How long have you been alone, Herbert?
Alone?
Well, I knew you were a widower, of course, the first time I saw you.
A widower?
I can always tell. There's a certain sadness in a man's eyes, a sweet sadness, I think, when he's been married, and then...
A widower. I never thought quite of it that way.
Perhaps I shouldn't be talking like this, but I've often wondered what she must have been like. Your wife, I mean.
Hermione, she was an easy woman to forget. Oh, not an easy woman, although sometimes I think she was. Very strong, always managing things. The house, my wardrobe, my friends. When we dined at a restaurant, she even ordered my food. She's always managing things. You might say she managed herself to death.
Poor woman. You must have loved her very much, but she needn't have put herself out so. It's plain to see that you don't need things managed for you. You need companionship, I think. Some sympathy, someone sympathetic with your work. But the last thing on earth you need is a manager.
How well you put it. The last thing on earth. That's the first time I thought of it, of course. Then suddenly, a whole new world opened up before my eyes. Marion in America. And no more Hermione. Planning my life for me. By the time I got home, my mind was working overtime. Ooh, thank you.
Well, at last. You certainly took long enough about it. What are you looking so pleased about?
I don't know. Getting rid of the beard, perhaps. I feel 20 years younger.
You look even smaller. Your face looks triangular or something. I'd forgotten your chin was so weak. But never mind. You can grow it back soon enough, after Christmas. Where are you going?
Down in the cellar. I just bought this electric lantern and I thought I'd put it away down there.
Now, whatever possessed you to buy a thing like that?
I don't know. I rather like this lantern. It might come in handy. Who knows?
Now, Herbert, don't start digging down there again. I've 100 things to do, putting the house in order before we leave. I want you to carry these boxes upstairs for me.
Yes, Hermione.
And if you're going down to the cellar, take this along and stuff it into the furnace.
But this is my old bathroom. I may need it.
Nonsense. I've bought you a new one. Get rid of it. And don't start puttering down there with that devil's garden or whatever you call it.
I'm through digging, my dear. I think the pit is quite deep enough now for my devil's garden. It would all have to be carefully planned, of course. Just as carefully planned as Hermione had been planning the trip to America. We both went about our arrangements as the days passed. I spent all the time I could with Marion, and finally, she consented.
Oh.
And then it was the last day, the big day, the day we sailed from America.
Operator, are you there? I'm still waiting on that call to Salisbury. Oh, well, put them on quickly. Hello, is this Paul Holt and Sons? It's Mrs. Herbert Carpenter. Did you receive my letter? Good. Now remember, we'll be back for Christmas, and I want the job done without fail. What's that? No, I'm sure he doesn't suspect anything. Send the bill to me in New York as I instructed you. Addressed in my name, of course. Yes, I've already put them in the mail. You'll get them tomorrow. Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh, there you are, Herbert. Where have you been?
Backstairs. I dismissed the servants.
Dismiss the servants? But I've asked some friends of mine into a farewell luncheon. Go and tell them it's a mistake.
I'm afraid it's too late now. They're packed and gone.
You have messed things up properly. How many times have I told you to leave things to me? I make the plans around here.
Yes, Hermione.
You'll have to do better than this when I plan the trip home, or we'll never in the world be back for Christmas.
Back for Christmas. Back for Christmas. Must keep saying that.
Why not? We are coming back for Christmas, aren't we?
Supposedly, I were offered a partnership or professorship or something like that in one of those wealthy universities.
Nonsense. Americans care nothing for botany.
Luther Burbank was an American.
That's different. What have you ever done except muck around in the dirt with a lot of roots and tubers?
They asked me to lecture. That means something.
Of course they asked you to lecture. Americans will pay to hear any foreigner deliver a lecture once. Now, there's no use getting yourself in a state about this, Herbert. No doubt this extra money will come in handy when we arrive. Back for Christmas. Precisely. And it's no good you're making a joke of it. Heaven knows where you'd be today if I haven't got a sense of time.
Yes, my dear Hermione.
And as you've been so foolish as to dismiss the servants, you may empty the ashtrays and straighten up this room while we're waiting for the guests to arrive. I'm going upstairs to change. Call me when they get here.
Yes, Hermione. Yes, Hermione. Yes, Hermione. 20 years, Hermione. Ugh. Always so right. Thought of everything. Well, not quite everything. Yeah, she's running her bath now. Safe to call Marion. If Marion were here to change her mind now, after all, we haven't known each other very long for this sort of thing. If she had any idea that I was not a widower yet. Marion, this is Herbert, my darling. Nothing's wrong, nothing's wrong. My plans are the same unless you've changed. No? Well, we'll meet in New York and be married there. I'll explain why later. You'll have to trust me. Yes, yes, my darling.
Herbert!
I'm sorry, I can't talk any longer. Yes, I'll meet you in New York without fail. Until then, my darling.
Herbert, were you talking on the phone just now? Herbert? Were you talking on the phone just now?
I guess I was. Maybe not.
Whoever was it?
Yeah, yes, whoever was it? It was Freddie Sinclair.
Didn't I hear you say something about meeting somebody in New York?
Why, yes, old Freddie said he might possibly get over there before we leave. And I said, of course, we'd meet him there. And he decided to go, if he decided to go, you know.
That seems very peculiar. But then all of your friends are peculiar.
Yes, Hermione.
And just look at your jacket. Have you been digging in that cellar again?
Yes, Hermione.
Well, there's no need for it. You can't possibly get that Devil's Garden thing finished. Go and change your clothes before the guests arrive.
Yes, Hermione.
Never mind. I see somebody come at the walk now. Go and let them in.
Yes, Hermione.
Herbert,
Yes, my dear.
look out the window. There's Professor and Mrs. Goodenough. But who's that with them?
Why, it's...
Precisely. Freddie Sinclair. Peculiar you should have been talking to him on the phone not 3 minutes ago. And here he is.
Yes, isn't it? But then you say, Hermione, that all my friends are peculiar.
Not half so peculiar as you. Digging in the cellar an hour before we leave for America? Just look at yourself. And now that I think of it...
Yes, Hermione.
Oh, never mind. Go and let them in.
You were going to ask me something, Hermione, about the hole I was digging in the cellar.
Oh, good heavens. Stop rolling your eyes about that way. One would think you were digging a grave down there instead of a storage bin.
Yes, Hermione.
What's that?
I said yes, Hermione.
Oh, bother. Open the door and stop saying yes, Hermione.
I think, my dear, I've said it for the last time.
For suspense, Autolite is bringing you Mr. Herbert Marshall in radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense.
Well, Hap, what kind of presents are you giving your car this Christmas?
My car? Now be sensible, Hollow.
I am being sensible, Hap, because the most sensible thing that every car owner can do is treat his car to Autolite preventative service and Autolite factory parts now, right now, like Santa does. With an Autolite checkup, your car won't let you down later.
Here we go.
Autolite parts are original factory parts on many makes of our finest cars, the same as those put in the car the day it was made. Resistor spark plugs, stay-full batteries, generators, distributors, starting motors, coils, wires, and cable. Your car uses all of them, and Autolite makes them all. You know, Autolites and your Autolite-equipped car go together like Damon and Pythias, like Duncan and Fife, like Chip and Dale. What's one without the other? So don't accept parts that are supposed to be as good. Get Autolite parts for Autolite parts that are built into your car. Santa's car, everybody's car.
Hollow, you're wonderful. Why, you've got Santa, and everyone switching to Autolite.
So friends, follow the footsteps of Dasher, Dancer, Donder, and Blitzen and whip on down to your nearest Autolite service station or the dealer who sells your make of car and ask for original factory parts and service.
Okay, Harlow, right now, here's Suspense. And now, Autolite brings back to our Hollywood soundstage Mr. Herbert Marshall starring in a gripping tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Back for Christmas. Hermione was so positive that we would be back for Christmas. That last afternoon, pouring tea for her friends who had come over to say last-minute farewells. She kept restating it. I reiterate it sometimes too.
Now, mind you, Hermione, don't let those Americans lure their fat university jobs. We absolutely must have you with us for Christmas.
He will be back, I promise you.
It's not absolutely certain, of course.
Herbert, what do you mean it's not certain? Of course it's certain.
After all, Herbert, old boy, you've contracted to lecture for only 3 months.
Quite right, but then, of course, anything may happen.
Herbert adores being unpredictable. Now, what other man would decide the very day, mind you, before leaving for America to dig a great hole in the floor of the cellar?
In the cellar?
Yes, he's going to put some unclassified wild orchids down there. A devil's garden, if you please. Sounds mysterious. That's Herbert, though. It's really quite simple. Once you find out what he's up to. Now take that telephone call he put through to you a few minutes before you arrived, Freddie.
To me?
Of course. Herbert wanted to surprise me about your plan to meet us in New York next month. Wasn't that why he called? To ask you not to mention it?
But, my dear Hermione, Herbert couldn't possibly have telephoned me within the past hour. I've been walking in the park since 3.
He didn't telephone you?
How could he? And as for my going to America...
Now, come, Freddie. You may as well own up. Hermione has found me out again.
But Herbert, old chap, I really don't...
You see what a poor liar Herbert makes? He's as red as a beetroot.
Aren't you ashamed of yourself, Professor? Stringing poor Hermione along like that. And as for you, Freddie, I'm furious you said nothing to us about going to America.
But look here, old girl. I've been trying to tell everyone here that...
Oh, stuff and nonsense. The game's gone on long enough. Besides, we must start getting ready. It was marvelous of all of you to come in and say goodbye. And don't worry about Herbert's little jokes. I will bring him back for Christmas. You may rely on it.
We all believed her. For years she had been promised me dinner parties, garden parties, committees, and the promises always being kept. This time they wouldn't be. I'd be seeing to that. Servants were gone for good. The farewells were said. I had timed it up to the last minute. How long would it take to fill that hole in the cellar? My devil's garden. Upstairs in the bedroom, I undressed, folded my clothes over the chair, and put on my old bathrobe. Then, opened the door to Hermione's room. Hermione, have you got a moment to spare?
Of course, dear, I'm just finished. Then come in here for a moment. There's something rather extraordinary here. Good heavens, Herbert, what are you lounging about in that filthy old bathrobe for? I told you to put it into the furnace.
Yes, I'll do it today. Really, I will. I promise.
Well, high time. Now, what is it you want to show me?
In the bathroom here. Just look. Who in the world do you suppose dropped a gold chain down the bathroom drain?
Nobody has, of course. Nobody wears such a thing.
Then what's that thing doing there?
I don't see anything.
Here, I'll hold the flashlight for you. You just lean over and see if you can see a shiny down there deep.
Such a lot of nonsense, just as I don't see it, Herbert.
Go look, Hermione. Just a moment.
Herbert, I absolutely refuse to. Herbert, what are you doing? Take your hands off my neck.
I will, Hermione, just as soon as I finish the arrangements for my trip to America.
What are you talking about?
You thought you were the only one who could plan things, didn't you, Hermione? Well, I've been making some plans of my own over the past week. In exactly 1 minute and 45 seconds, you'll be dead, Hermione. You see, I've planned it very accurately.
You'll never get away with it.
I thought you'd say that, Hermione, but I will get away with it. You won't mind the smell of leaf mold down in the cellar when I take you down there today. Yes, that's where you're going, Hermione, into my devil's garden that annoyed you so much. The solid is full of clay, which settled in about a month. So it won't even look dug up.
My friends, they all expect me back for Christmas. If they don't hear from me, they'll wonder. And if I don't come back, they'll start asking questions.
No, they won't, because you'll be writing them letters, Hermione, on the typewriter you always do, and signing it H in that cryptic way you always sign your notes to friends.
Let me up now.
No.
It won't work, Herbert. You were never any good at planning things.
Ha! But I've changed. I've learned from watching you all these years and shaving off my beard.
The lecture people in America, they'll be expecting you to be traveling with your wife.
I will be traveling with my wife, but not my present wife, Hermione. Fortunately, they've never met you. I'll be writing a few letters home for you, then fewer and fewer. Write letters signed with my own name, always expecting to get back and never quite able to. Keep the house for 1 year, then another, then another. They'll get used to it. I might even come back alone in a year or two to clear up the property. Say you died in America. Nobody will ever suspect that you were lying under the floor in the cellar of this very house.
Herbert, it won't work, I tell you. That pit you dug in the cellar.
I can assure you, my dear, it will serve its purpose well.
Herbert!
Sorry, dear, but I gotta get this done on schedule. You'll have 5 seconds to say your prayers.
Herbert, you must listen. The cellar, don't do it, Herbert. Herbert! Ah!
The water cut off the main, as I knew she would order. Good. She was so thorough. So was I. A clean blow at the basement of the skull. Nothing to wash up. The electric oven shut off at 1 o'clock, just as she ordered. She thought of everything, so did I. A nice new electric lantern, plenty of light to work by in the cellar. My old bathrobe she wanted me to throw away came in handy now. If they should, by any chance, find bloodstains, then in the fire afterwards, I lost evidence, my devil's garden. It's going well. Still an hour till I leave for the boat. The whole is almost through. Oh no, not now. Go away. Whoever you are, go away. Did I leave the front door unlocked? If it's the Wallingfords, no. Go away, go away. After that, it was easy. Put up the finishing touches on my devil gardens. Dress fast, get out of the house before 6:30. Take the boat, train to Southampton, and board the ship for America. All according to plan, Hermione's plan. Oh, Stuart.
Yes, sir.
My wife is indisposed. She'll be taking her meals in our stateroom.
For the whole voyage, sir?
Yes, for the whole voyage.
I trust your wife is feeling better this morning, Professor Carpenter.
A little. Not yet well enough to leave her cabin.
I'm sorry, but by the way, here's a copy of the radiogram you sent for your wife last evening.
Oh, thank you. I'll check it over. But look here.
What is it? Did the typist make a mistake?
No, nothing important. You can correct it later. For a moment, I had the feeling that Hermione had been leaning over my shoulder again, correcting what I had written, as she always did. I had written a radiogram to Professor Goodenough and his wife. Hadn't been out of my cabin for the whole beastly trip. Herbert well. Doubt will be back for Christmas. Copy read. No doubt will be back for Christmas. Exactly what Hermione would have written. Well, the rest of the voyage was uneventful. and Mary and I met up in New York just as we planned. Just as we had planned. Professor and Mrs. Carpenter, we have reservations, I believe?
Oh, yes, we've been expecting you, sir. Boy, take Professor and Mrs. Carpenter's luggage up to their suite. You know, Mrs. Carpenter, you're quite a surprise. Your letter reserving the rooms was so thorough. I was expecting an older, more forbidding sort of person, frankly, ma'am.
No, as a matter of fact, we were just married. But my letter reserving the room?
I wrote a letter, my dear, and signed it, Mrs. Carpenter, just as a joke.
What a cunning old fox you are, Herbert.
Now that I think of it, I rather am.
Oh, I almost forgot. There's a letter for you, Mrs. Carpenter.
That's peculiar. I wonder who on earth.
Well, we shall find out in good time. Come on, my dear. We'll keep this boy waiting long enough, so let's go. Ha! Nothing like a cold, brisk shower to put a man right.
Herbert, this letter.
Oh, yes, the letter. Dry my hair, will you, dear?
It seems to be a bill of some sort from a building contractor in Salisbury.
Huh?
Oh, bother, dry your own hair.
Thank you, my sweet. Let's see this bill or whatever it is.
It's very puzzling, Herbert. You were a widower, weren't you? I mean, Hermione isn't still alive.
Good heavens, no. Let's have that. Dear madam. That's a good one. This is to acknowledge your order, together with the keys to your house at Launceston Place. Our men had no difficulty in finding a place with your husband and began excavating in the summer, but apparently he changed his mind at the last minute and filled it in again.
What is it, Herbert?
Our men will be digging tomorrow, and you may be assured that it will be a professional job and will be completed in ample time for your surprise Christmas present for your husband. We are happy to be the conspirators with you in this thoughtful gesture and hope Professor Carpenter will be pleased at the results of our work, so quaintly calls the Devil's Garden. Yours truly, Paul Holt and Sons Contractors.
What does it mean, Herbert?
It means Hermione was right. I will be back for Christmas. Back for Christmas! Back for Christmas! Back for Christmas! Back for Christmas.
Thank you, Herbert Marshall, for a splendid performance. Mr. Marshall, we'll be back in just a moment. Jingle bells, jingle through the snow. Your call's all pep, it's full of pep with Autolite, you know. Oh!
Right, and by Cornelius, electrical problems won't keep your car down when you stop at the shop that features Autolite parts and service. Sure as Kris Kringle means Christmas, Autolite factory parts and service top the town. So friends, stop in tomorrow at your friendly Autolite service station of the dealer who sells your makeup car and ask for original factory parts and service.
You'll find Autolite service stations listed in your classified telephone directory under Automotive Electrical Equipment. And remember, your Autolite ignition system is the lifeline of your car.
Yes, friends, and remember too, Autolite means spark plugs. Ignition engineered resistor spark plugs. Autolite means batteries. Stay full batteries. Autolite means ignition systems. The lifeline of your car.
And now, here again is Mr. Herbert Marshall.
It's been my pleasure to appear in tonight's Suspense. And it's been my pleasure to extend it to you and all for Autolite, Tony Leader and the Supreme Cast and crew, and myself, best wishes for the holiday season. Next week's Radio Outstanding Theater Thrills you will hear William Bendix in another gripping study.
Suspense.
Herbert Marshall will soon be seen with Margaret O'Brien in the Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer production of The Secret Garden. Tonight's suspense play was dramatized by Robert Tallman from a story by John Collier. Music was composed by Lucien Morowick and conducted by Luke Gluskin. The entire production is under the direction of Anton M. Leader. In the coming weeks, Suspense will present such stars as Ethel Barrymore, Dana Andrews, Robert Montgomery, Danny Kaye, and many others. Make it a point to listen each Thursday to Suspense, radio's outstanding theater of thrills. And next Thursday, same time, hear William Bendix in Space.
In space. Wow, that was pretty good. We want to thank all our cast, and before we do, we'd like to introduce them. Today, starring in the lead role, and doing a fine job too, was Herbert, Ron Kolek. My lovely wife of 20 years, Hermione.
28, you idiot.
Wrong wife. Hermione. And Kerrigan.
Hi. It's supposed to be Hermione, but whatever.
Well, it's too late.
Whatever, Ron. Ron killed it.
Go ahead, continue, Ann. You take the introductions from here.
Oh, okay. All right. And also starring Ron's real wife, Jan Kolek.
St. Jan.
Yay. St. Jan. My husband, Tom Kerrigan, as our director and / music guy. Nate Mayer. What's his name? Yeah, Nate Mayer. Our Paranews
That's why
reporter.
I knew, so I wouldn't screw it up.
I was like, whoop. No, I know, yeah. Our intrepid Paranews reporter, Lou Blasi, the morning producer of Ghost Chronicles.
You stole my wife's lines, by the way.
Oh, well.
I did?
Yeah, voice was hers.
Oh, well.
Oh,
There was
That's
a pause,
fine. You
so I
did it
jumped
much
in.
better, Lou.
And my Bessie, Sherry Sharkey, as the floozy who stole my husband.
Ah, la, la, la.
Thank you, everybody. This was so much fun. And we haven't done this. We used to do this throughout the years when we had our studio show, which we're not doing presently for obvious reasons. But
I do want to mention a part. There was a part there that really got, like, absolutely lost track of where I was. I couldn't find it. I absolutely tried to find it. My eyes wouldn't focus on it. So I just, I don't know
You're
how.
going to have to be more specific, I think.
Oh,
When you started ad-libbing it, all of a sudden you found it and it worked right in. It
Yeah.
really
Ron's good at ad-libbing.
Thank you
Oh
guys for
my
doing this.
God.
It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you so
We
much.
appreciate
It was fun.
it.
Well,
imagine.
Ann, Tom, Lou, and Sherry, nice being part of this, and I wish you the best for Christmas and New Year's.
Thank you. Same to you.
Thank you.
We all have our Christmas trees behind us.
Yes, we do.
Well, Sherry has cactus.
I know.
Hi.
My son's room is the only quiet place in the house,
He's got mother of tongue in there.
right?
Yeah.
That's my plants. They're my devil's garden.
She's got a devil's garden right there.
Yeah.
Right there.
I was thinking as we were doing this, I would have loved to have been alive, a little kid back then, listening to this on the radio.
Right? I want
I
to know
have-
who did it. Like he was saying Danny Kaye was going to be on. I'm like, geez, I wonder who read this the first time.
I know.
Oh, no.
I do have very vague memories of my mother listening to the radio, a show on the radio, and it was a scary movie, and the radio was as big as TVs used to be. But it was at night, and she was listening to the show in bed with the lights off.
Ooh,
But it was radio.
Yeah.
Spooky.
cool.
My dad used to tell us that they did it all the time. It was their story hour. It was
Yep.
pretty,
Before
Well, we used to listen to Dr. Demento when we were in
Oh,
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was awesome.
Westwood Radio 1.
But, before we go, we would like to have you share what your favorite Christmas moment was with our audience. So, I know there's so many of them, I'm sure, or maybe there's none. But pick one anyways, and we'll start with Nate.
Me?
Yeah, you.
Favorite Christmas.
This year.
This
I know,
year?
right?
Anytime you were alive.
I can't remember that far back. Pass. Come back.
All right. Sherry, how about you?
My favorite Christmas moment is I have these ornaments on my tree, and they're all ceramic Snoopy ornaments.
Aw.
And every year, my dad and I used to go down to Lawrence and go to this
I'm sorry. No.
fancy store down there and buy an ornament. And I have about 50 of them on my tree.
What store,
Oh,
Sherry?
wow.
I can't remember now. It was on Essex Street. It was like a drug, like a card store or like a Hallmark, but it wasn't Hallmark. I don't remember.
There was a Sterling's drugstore. There was Sutherland's.
Oh, I can't remember. It was
Cherry and Webb's. There was
It was right next to Cherry and Webb's, I think, because it had like a little. Cherry and Webb's had two doors. It had like a little door that kids could go in. I remember that for some reason. I don't know why.
That's cute.
Yeah, it was fun. So every year when I take them out and hang them up, I'm like, oh, my Snoopies.
Aw, that's
Nate,
a great
come up
memory.
with something.
Yes, I came up with my favorite Christmas experience. My brother Greg was in the National Guard, and he was in Kuwait for about a year. And we couldn't tell his children because we didn't know if it was going to be really happening, but he ended up coming back on Christmas Eve.
That's awesome.
And we surprised his kids at their mother's house, him showing up, ringing the doorbell, and he opened the door, and his kids couldn't believe it. That's my
Aw,
favorite Christmas
that's
experience.
nice.
So what about you, my friend?
Well, annually, my favorite Christmas moment was always getting the Sears catalog and starting to do my own Christmas shopping for myself. But you'll appreciate this, Ron. My favorite Christmas present of all time is I was under the Christmas tree one time and pulled out this box, and it was my first pair of Lang skates. that I
Oh,
got.
that's cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
hockey?
Not a
hockey,
Red Ryder
yeah.
BB gun?
I'm sorry?
Not a Red Ryder BB gun?
No, I didn't get. I had BB guns.
Sure
I had guns all
I
the
didn't
time.
really-
They weren't Christmas presents.
I still got one, in fact. Red Ryder.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Probably worth some money.
Yeah, right.
An old one? I don't know.
Anyway, what about you, Tom?
Oh, my favorite was we were little kids. We were living at a small little house with my grandparents. So it's a 2-bedroom house and it had 10 people in it. It was pretty crazy. 1 bathroom. But Christmas Eve, we always decorated around and took pictures and stuff. And we were just about ready to take pictures. My dad was a photographer in the Navy. And he went to take a picture and set up, and the front door rang. The doorbell rang out front. And we had a porch that was 2-season, whatever. Porch. Yeah, just like that. And out there, we always had this aluminum Christmas tree. It was a silver aluminum Christmas
Oh, my
tree.
God, yeah.
Oh, fun.
And it was on a rotating
Oh,
thing.
with the light.
Yeah, and it had a color wheel. And the color
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
That's awesome.
And so I remember going to the door and looking out the main door, and there was a big box there. And we said, "Oh my God, who brought this?" And my dad said, "Oh, it must have been Santa Claus." And so we went and we got the box, and it was heavy. I remember my dad brought it in, carried it, and he opened it up, and it was a stereo system that everybody had said, "We want a new stereo." And it was a real neat one because it would fold up and you could kind of carry it. You know, it was only 3 feet wide and 2 feet long, but
The speakers would come
were
out.
on the side. Yep. And
Yeah.
you could either hinge them on or you could take them off. But anyway, what he had done was we had a appliance place down the street called Swanson and Flood.
Mm-hmm.
And Ann will remember Swanson and
Yeah.
Flood. And they actually just delivered it, knocked on the door, and then took off.
That's cool.
Oh,
But I remember there was snow prints in my was it my mom or my
Footprints.
grandpa said footprints, and they said, "Look,
Reindeer?
there's Santa's footprints." And from that point, I always thought about that. But that's probably my favorite story ever.
Aww.
What about you, Janet?
well, actually, there were 2 Christmases. My brother, he was gone for 4 years. 2 years he got leave so he could come home, and 2 Christmases he couldn't. But the 2 years that he was home was really special. It was like, I know it sounds silly, but it's almost like World War II, and he was a returning hero. But this was
Aw.
like in the early 60s. But it was so nice when he was home for Christmas.
Oh, that's
The
nice.
funniest one she told is when your father used to go buy Christmas trees.
Oh, you want to hear the story?
Sure. Why not?
My father was a very unique individual, had no patience whatsoever. And one time I was probably 11, 12, around that age. My mother, my father, and I went, not too far in South Lawrence to a place that was selling Christmas trees in a lot. So my father picked up a tree, and, my mother and I thought it was nice and everything. So he said, "How much?" And the guy said, $5. He goes, no, sir, it's not worth $5. He threw the guy $2, picked up the tree, and all my mother and I could do was trot off behind him and get in the car. It was so embarrassing. And,
My
my mother went out and bought an artificial tree after Christmas on sale. Was never going to go through that again. But even
That's
though I was
awesome.
young, I was horrified.
Oh, God.
Oh my God. I'll
That
give you
was him.
$2. Oh my God.
What about you, Ann?
Oh, that's funny.
Awesome.
Ann, what about you?
I think some of my favorite Christmas memories were, my in the afternoon, my dad would always go and pick up the grandmas, the grandmothers. We called them the grandmas, and Aunt Nell. And my Aunt Nell was this big old. She was as wide as she was tall, and she was just this old Irish lady with curly white hair and like rosy cheeks, and I didn't get to see her a lot. And so my dad would go collect everybody and bring them all back. And that was always my favorite part of Christmas, was when they all came in, and Aunt Nell would just like swoop you up and squeeze you and hug you when she came in. And she always brought me a box of fiddle faddle.
Oh,
That was a special treat. We didn't, my father was diabetic, so we didn't have that stuff in the house. So she always brought me a box of fiddle faddle. And, but I just always being really so excited when they finally, it was really Christmas because then everybody was there. So that's one of my good Christmas memories.
very nice.
Yeah. What about, did Ron already do one? Did you already share yours?
No, I didn't.
Well, are you
It's-
going to share one?
Most people know Christmas is my favorite holiday of the year, other than my turkey, of course, from Thanksgiving. But, I always had good Christmases, always had great gifts, always had everything. Even when we were poor, we had good gifts. But I always remember the thing that if somebody say was the first thing I can remember. I remember Christmas. We always got gifts on Christmas morning. And we would always get stockings, of course. And then the stockings we would get, they'd throw change in the bottom of the stocking. And we get an orange. I mean, there were
An
good
orange.
gifts too, don't get me wrong, but there were always an orange in it.
Yep.
And I always got the same GD snow globe every freaking year. She'd repurpose it every year.
Oh, no.
That was tradition. I didn't really mind it, really, but because we always got tons of stuff anyways. And my father was not good health, but he would always be the last to get up, and he wouldn't watch us open the gifts, everything. So we'd always bring the gifts to him,
Oh.
his gifts, And so
Oh,
he would pick them up and tell us what the gifts were.
Oh, no.
He'd pick it up and say, this is pipe tobacco.
I can do that.
This
My
is,
husband does that.
Yeah.
Aggravates the
I would,
hell
I
out of
would
me.
wrap stuff crazy just to mess with you,
I've
Tom.
done it. I've done it. Oh, except the year I gave you that the thing that punches the holes in the dirt.
Oh,
Oh, a post
He didn't guess that one.
I wouldn't either. How'd you get in a box?
It came that way from Amazon.
it wasn't a hole digger. It was actually
Auger?
an aerator. So
Oh, okay.
a small aerator has three tines on it.
Yeah.
So
It was like
doing a small surface.
it's like that long, you know. It's
You
really
see the
fun.
ones that are like ice skates or roller skates, you put them on your shoes and walk around.
Walk around. Yep.
Well, we want to thank everybody. We don't know if this will be in the show, but we wanted to tape some stuff just in case. We don't know how long the show ran, and so at least we have these. So hopefully they'll make it. If not, then maybe we'll do it as a little special thing somewhere too.
Sure.
Maybe on our page or something.
Yeah.
Definitely. on
We'll get it out there. We'll get it out there for everybody.
So thank you all for doing this. We really appreciated taking your afternoon,
Yes.
which turns into an hour and 20 minutes. But it was a really first-class job. I mean, I never seen such a polished show in my life.
Oh, right.
It was fun. It was fun. Thank you.
Aside from Anne's name changing 3 times.
Nothing. I know, right?
Not
It's
what I
supposed to
spoke.
be Hermione
Hermione.
or Hermione.
I said her Heine, so her.
I know, I
Right?
couldn't remember what you said. So I was
Oh my
You should have
God.
written it down.
good. I knew it was
Oh
a
my
good thing, and I
God.
And I don't blame Ron. I would have killed you too.
Yeah, I know. I would have killed me.
Gosh,
Who could live with that?
what a
I
nap.
better be worried.
What do you
We
mean?
have
At the very end, she went and had contractors dig him a freaking garden so he could have
That's a
his garden for
surprise.
Christmas.
See, she really did care about
She
you.
really did
Yeah,
care.
she
See,
liked
the
him.
next, I thought she was going to come back and haunt you. I thought
Yeah.
that was going to happen.
Yeah, that would be
Like the
good.
telltale heart.
Yeah,
Boom, boom,
that's what I thought
boom,
too
boom,
when
boom, boom.
I picked up the script, but I didn't know. I
Yeah.
never read it, so I have no
Yeah,
idea.
he never read it all the way through until
Yeah.
today.
Next Christmas, it'll be Marion in the garden.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Oh, better watch out.
Yep. Yep. Have a little collection.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, everybody, guys.
All right. Thank you,
Bye, everybody.
everybody.
Bye. Merry Christmas.
Bye.
Well, there it is. I hope you've enjoyed the show as much as we enjoyed doing it. As usual, it was near perfect.
Yeah. Of course. Ron screwed up my name every single time.
Yeah,
But
potatoes,
you'll-
potatoes. Whatever.
Yeah. It's expected. It's kind of expected that he would do that. But
So anyways, we just want to wish everybody Merry Christmas, Festus for the rest of us, Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Goopy Doopy, whatever else you celebrate. So
oh my God. Hey, everybody have a great holiday, however you celebrate.
yeah, whoever.
We miss you all. Someday soon, we're going to get back in the studio, we hope, and someday be back together again. But in the meantime, happy holidays, everybody.
From ghoulies to ghosties, long-leggedy beasties, and things that go bump in the night. Deliver us, good Lord.